Welcome to Live the Dream with yours truly, Marty Kaiser. Buckle up and let's get started. Happy Friday, everyone. This is Marty Kaiser with our Friday edition of Real Estate Tidbits. Hope everyone is doing well. Well, Florida-wise, looks like weather's warming up. We had a few-day cold spell earlier this week, but now it seems to be nice for the next few days. Weather's been a little bit different this year. We go from a few really cold days to a few really warm days. It's been, a little bit more erratic, but I guess that's part of our climate situation worldwide now. It's definitely different than it used to be. So today I'm going to go over two topics in particular. We're going to go over some data from Hunters Creek in real estate, and I thought might prove interesting to folks just to see a current look at what the market's doing now, how it compares to last year. And then again, we're going to, because this is such a hot topic right now, we're going to go over what effects, if any, we're seeing and or expecting from the Iranian war that we're entering into. I guess it's 3 or 4 weeks now. I should know the exact date, but I don't remember exactly. So statistically, the first thing I'll go over is what type of single-family inventory is Hunters Creek offering potential customers. Well, as of this morning, there were 42 homes for sale. They ranged in price from $410 to $995, with the heaviest concentration of homes in the neighborhood of $475 to around $650. And people always want to know, well, how does that compare not only to last year, but just historically? I would say historically, we're probably still a little below average. Compared to last year, we probably have a few more homes for sale. It has declined over the last couple weeks in Hunters Creek, and I think that can be mainly attributed to the Iranian conflict. I think there's a percentage of people that were planning on doing things real estate-wise, whether it meant buying something, whether it meant selling something, whether it meant doing both, that maybe have put their plans on hold for a little bit until kind of the dust settles on the ramifications of this war from not only a real estate perspective, but how it affects the economy in Florida. Now, an interesting piece of data is comparing the sales data. This year so far, we've had 79 days of 2026. We've had 19 closings in Hunters Creek of single-family homes. Now, last year at this same time, we had 22 homes that closed in the first 79 days of 2025. So we've experienced a 14% decrease in the first 79 days. Not super dramatic, but obviously from a sales standpoint, we'd always like to have more sales rather than less. So we'll just have to keep a close eye on that barometer. The interest rates over the past week went up a tad, so the national as well as the local average is just over 6.2. Hasn't increased dramatically in the last week, but we're slowly seeing an increase in interest rates. For those of you that follow Federal Reserve, they made an announcement earlier this week that they will not be lowering the borrowing rate for the banks, which obviously correlates to, in those cases, lower interest rates. And right now, we obviously don't expect lower interest rates, and we're hoping they don't really go significantly higher. There's just a lot of not only uncertainty, but I would say nervousness. There's certainly a lot of concern that inflation is going to increase again, mainly heightened by the energy and oil situations. Oil in particular, we've seen somewhere between a 75-cent and a dollar increase in gas prices locally. And if this conflict continues without any significant breakthroughs, that number is just going to increase, unfortunately. So we'll just have to wait and see and keep our fingers crossed. Now, what are the direct effects of the Iranian conflict with real estate in the Florida area? Well, in the short term, we haven't seen a huge difference. And obviously, everybody would like this conflict to end sooner rather than later. But it's been projected that if we have, let's say, 6 months more of this type of situation, it's going to have a significant disruption on interest rates and inflation and consumer behavior. Consumer behavior meaning that they're probably going to cut back on larger purchases. Employers may make hiring decisions and or cutbacks based on the ramifications of the war. So at this point, the only thing we can safely say is that if we have a short-lived war, it shouldn't have any really long-term effects. But if it stretches out over a period of months, then it will definitely have significant ramifications. I think that the administration of Trump and his advisors, I think up to this point, the concern is twofold. Number one, they significantly underestimated how long this war could last. I think for whatever reason, they were unrealistically optimistic that somehow Iran was just going to fold the tent and concede, which has certainly not happened to this point, and it doesn't look like there's any end in sight for them conceding. If anything, and this is just my unofficial opinion, but with this podcast, people want to know my opinion, so I will continue to give it. I think that as this conflict lasts and as the cost of the war goes up and as the cost of oil and energy go up and as it get increasingly challenging to get oil out of the Middle East due to what Iran's going to do to the Straits, what I think is going to ultimately happen, and I predict this will happen in the next 4 to 6 weeks, I think we're going to claim victory, even though it's not a victory. I think the Trump administration is always about perception and not losing face. So I think they're going to say they've decimated Iran and they accomplished their objectives and that they're pushing Iran back to the negotiating table. But I think they're going to have to do that because Iran is not going to concede in any fashion, and they're not going to stop doing things that are going to continue to affect oil and energy on a worldwide basis. So we'll just have to see. I hope I'm wrong. I think I may have mentioned on one of my podcasts previous, one of my coworkers that I work with that, we've been friends for a long time, but we have diametrically different opinions on a variety of topics. So when this conflict started, he mentioned to me that he thought this was the most brave thing any president had done, that he thought this president will go down in history as doing such monumental positive changes, and he would probably go down as the best U.S. president of the last 125 years. And I respectfully told him that I thought his understanding of worldwide politics and his forecast were going to be way off, that I hoped I was wrong, because if he claimed that, then it would be based on a positive result for the United States. But I personally thought the way this whole situation was undertaking could be basically very negative for the United States and at worst case, somewhat catastrophic. I thought it could upend a lot of things that go on worldwide. None the least of that is peace. And as you've seen already, there's a number of countries that have been brought into this conflict due to the confrontational aspects of it, and that our allies had balked on helping us in some cases. I know some people might take the position, gee, they're allies of ours, they should do whatever is needed to help our position. But unfortunately, they were not consulted on this conflict, and they were just expected to adhere to what Trump wanted done. And you can't just mistreat people and think you're going to have just a dominant rule over them, and you're going to rule them like they're servants of yours. And I think, President Trump has misread dramatically the tea leaves. The United States is the dominant world power, but people are just not going to acquiesce and be treated like second-class citizens. And I think, unfortunately, he's finding out the hard way that he's going to have to be a lot more diplomatic and really, I don't want to say beg, but because the negative consequences of the war as they increase, our allies are going to have no choice but to go in and help us to avert a more major negative result from this. So we'll just have to wait and see. The one thing that we do know is this is running into the billions and billions of dollars. And we always hear about how, our government needs to reduce their deficits. That's the justification for cutting back necessities like health care, having projected cutbacks on Medicare, having projected cutbacks on helping the needy. So we just seem to have some misplaced priorities at this point. Maybe some of the folks in power will awaken to the fact that you can't just put all your eggs in one basket and then kind of tell the rest of the country, you guys just need to deal with it. So that's my overview of things. Fortunately, real estate has still been, for the most part, somewhat steady. It's definitely slowing down the time frame it takes to sell average homes. But we'll just have to kind of wait and see, keep our nose to the grindstone, keep a close eye out on things. I'm at least more proactive and aggressive on the advice and information I give my customers, and hopefully that's helped us be successful during the first parts of 2026. So this is all for today. Everybody stay safe, enjoy our hopefully good weather for the next few days. And this is Marty Kaiser out.